Welcome to episode 75 of Cougars on Cougars. I'm Mary. This is not Jess. This is Randi.
Hi.
And this is Packer. We wanted to have him on for our little intro segment so he can, be introduced to the world of Cougar sports fans. Here's one of our newest.
Yep, one of our newest members of Cougar Nation here.
So he was born June 3rd.
Yep.
And his birthday, we talked about it because he does share the same birthday as Reno Mahe.
Yep.
You say hi to everybody? So this is our little Raisin 'em Right. This is our interactive Raisin 'em Right segment and our opening segment. So anyway, Randi, we are happy to have you here. Be sure to give her a follow on Twitter. She is at Shamo Says. We'll put that up for you. And let's get started with our quote of the week, also fall camp edition, this time from Pat Riley.
Yeah, Pat Riley said, "Great players want to be driven, to be pushed to the edge. They don't want to be cheated. Ordinary players want it to be easy."
So we're going to start with our fall camp update, and we'll see if that has been the case for our players. But before we do that, we'll say bye to Packer.
Bye-bye.
So as promised, we are going to talk about fall camp. We are branding the segment as fall camp favorites.
We aren't coming at you with the hard-hitting news. One, it's the third or fourth day of camp. There isn't a lot. And two, go listen to the interviews if you want that.
Yeah, and as far as hard-hitting news goes, I guess we should consider ourselves lucky that there hasn't been much. I mean, we didn't open fall camp like Utah with an announcement that, one of their star players is out indefinitely.
Yeah, at this point in camp, usually big news is not a good thing. So
right.
We'll take what we've got. But
so let's keep hoping for fun, fluffy stuff like this.
Yeah, no big injuries or other stories.
Yes, disciplinary. I know that Randi and I were actually texting about, what we were kind of waiting to hear that you usually do hear on fall camp time, but so far it's been quiet on the disciplinary and injury fronts. So that's nice.
So we can focus on more fun stories like how Mo Longy looks in his helmet. How often do you see a defensive lineman who makes other defensive linemen look like normal-sized people?
Really, really he does. So I think there's been a ton of hubbub surrounding Mo. I think people have started calling him Mount Mo Longy. Is that correct?
Yes.
Mount Mo, maybe, for a more succinct.
It works.
But yes, there have been plenty of pictures, plenty of videos. I know Vanquish the Foe, Jake Welch wrote a whole entire article all about him trying on his helmet, but I loved this tweet from Hobo. She said that she is pretty sure she could fit in Mo Longy's shoebox. You know what? I think she maybe could.
And I'm pretty sure that you could put multiple heads into that helmet.
Yes, and he is size 16 for the record, which is 1 foot size larger than LeBron, and LeBron is a big boy. So that's one of our first favorite things to come out of fall camp is Mount Mo, and we will be sure to keep you updated as far as what coaches have said about him, because I know that we listed this as one of our questions that we wanted answered last week, as far as what his role is going to be on the team. What have you heard?
Coach Tuiaki mentioned that he does seem to be a quick learner. He's picking things up. From highlight videos, we've seen him doing some special teams work. Corbin Kafusi mentioned that it's fun to be on the line next to someone that size as long as you are out of his radius when he falls down.
So
it sounds like maybe we will see a little something of him, but maybe not till next year.
And I think that it is important to remember that hearing Coach Tuiaki say that, and Coach Sataki even said that he's learning really fast, but you have to remember what his base is.
Exactly.
He just learned what the sideline is what Coach Sataki said after practice yesterday. So keep your expectations
very low. I'd imagine if we see him this year, it would probably be in a couple special teams units only where he can focus on this one special teams play. This is your job.
Yes.
Take up space.
Very extremely garbage time, maybe, but otherwise, and even that is probably a long shot.
Yeah.
So next, we got to talk about the swag.
Christmas in July is said by several players.
Very appropriately said. So what do we got? Oh my gosh. Okay, first of all, we have a million shoes.
Of course.
And what else did they get? Well,
have
you
ever seen their shoe room?
No, have you?
It is amazing.
It's just like Willy Wonka room full of shoes.
Mountains and mountains, floor to ceiling of orange Nike boxes. It's a beautiful sight.
Oh my goodness. Well, look at all of Tanner's shoes. We'll put up some of these pictures. Looks like they got some nice new shirts, but I think Christmas in July is a very good way to describe it. So, yes, swag is not directly football. Sorry, we ventured off from the field, but that's a big deal to them too.
Exactly.
So, okay, next we wanted to talk about some of the footage that we've seen.
If you aren't already, make sure you're following at BYU Video on Twitter. They keep us well supplied.
Yes, them and at BYU FB Video. We have like several video accounts, which is like how lucky are we to seeing so much footage from fall ball.
Exactly.
I saw that LSU was like
nothing.
How terrible would that be?
You've got to wonder, why are you cutting off the media?
Yeah,
but
that's
as
another
fans,
topic,
that would be
I
no
suppose.
fun at all. So thank you, BYU, for being generous with your footage.
Yes, but we especially wanted to share this one video. It's the first fully edited video that the video team shared from camp, and it's called Welcome to the Family. If you watch that and don't get excited, check your pulse.
You are apparently not a fan.
Yeah, so make sure you're following both of those accounts. Every day of camp, they've been tweeting footage. And let's talk about some notable things. We watched a bit of that footage tonight. What are some things that we've seen in that footage?
A lot of beautifully thrown balls. It's early, but we're seeing what looks like some great chemistry between Tanner and the receivers.
Yeah.
Very nice passes. Those are always fun to watch.
And Tanner's arm looks better than we've ever seen it. It's obviously early to say that without pads and without, defense. By the way, pads go on today. But Tanner's release
looks great. Even it just seems like you're seeing good energy on both sides of the ball, which is always fun to watch. It's hard to tell, especially with the defense, when they can't actually tackle, but you are seeing some guys being as aggressive as you can be without pads on.
Yeah, I know we've heard of at least a few sacks, and we should note that at least one, I'm sure more than one, of those have come from Sione Takitaki.
And that's good to hear. We all remember he is just an explosive pass rusher, and it'll be nice to have him back.
Yeah, and getting to that point, there were a couple things that were said after the first day of practice that we really liked, and one of them came from Sione Takitaki, who had media availability after that first day, and he said that he is very, very confident about the pass rush, which is always nice to hear. I mean, if you can stop him there, then...
And especially that wasn't our big strength last year, so we'd love to see that become a strength. Yeah. That's where this defense could become really scary.
Takitaki is that type of player where I feel like he can inspire others to be explosive like he is explosive. Mm-hmm. So I think, though, our favorite quote that has come out of camp so far.
Coach Sataki, football should be year-round anyway. We support this 100%.
Threw that out offhand, and I was like, Coach, this is why you're our guy.
Exactly. You get us.
So we agree with you, Coach Sataki. Let's see what we can do about that. Mm-hmm. And then the last thing, one of the last things we wanted to talk about were the wide receivers. So I think that this was one of our questions that we wanted answered last week as well. Who's going to emerge as playmakers around Tanner? In that footage that we alluded to, you're obviously seeing plays made by receivers. Make of that what you will.
Especially because you're seeing a lot of different receivers at this point. They're splitting reps evenly. And so you're seeing receivers who I've never heard of, guys who are going to redshirt, guys who are going to be on the practice squad. And then you're seeing the guys who we know are going to be out there all the time.
But to see the depth in action that we've heard about and we're uncertain about is nice. Gives you a little bit of peace of mind. And this actually came from Gregor Bell, who has been at a few of the fall practices. He says, I'm excited to see the BYU wide receiver group perform in 17. They don't have a lot of numbers now, but they soon will. I think it's a talented bunch. So those are a couple of our favorite things that have come out of fall camp. I know another one... I've been listening to a lot of the media, which they had yesterday, and they had a couple last week. We've heard from players like Corbin, like Sione. We heard from Matt Hadley yesterday. We heard from Talon Shumway yesterday. You've heard from Kalani, Coach Tuiaki. You've heard from Ty Detmer. So go to BYU TV Sports, their Facebook page.
You can catch up on all these interviews and hear it straight from their source.
A thing that I have heard them repeating a lot in those interviews, especially from Coach Tuiaki, Coach Sataki, and Matt Hadley, is that we are going to be pretty deep at safety. I think that a couple of the coaches even said that that's one of our deeper positions.
Yeah, I think it's so easy to focus on we lose Kai Nakua because he was so good and so dynamic. But that's all we really lost at that safety position. And we rotated quite a bit. So we do have a decent number of guys with talent and with experience. But we don't have the guy in Kai this year. And we want to see who steps up and becomes that big playmaker, the guy who can change the game in one play.
You know what? And as good as having a guy like Kai is, sometimes, leaving that void can do wonders, I feel like, for a position group because they know they all have to step up to fill the void. And I think that they're really up to, it sounds like they're up to the challenge. I don't think that we'd be hearing so much about them if they weren't.
So our next segment is keeping up with the Cougars. We're going to check in on how some of our former players are doing.
Yes, at the professional level, we are going to start with a little bit of bad news, and we'll start with Alani Fua, the linebacker, who was pretty good for the Cardinals last year. He injured his knee, and they waived him, which is always a bummer.
Yeah, just a little bit of bad luck, and hopefully he'll land a new spot soon.
Yeah, I guess he didn't have enough veteran status with them that they were willing to wait out the injury.
And there's always a chance they'll pick him up again when he's healthy.
Yep, so we'll see what happens there. Our part B of bad news.
Algie Brown was released by the Seahawks. We'd heard that he was actually in a good spot on the depth chart, but fullbacks, there's not a lot of spot for those on rosters.
Not, yeah.
So the Seahawks needed to pick up some new players, and off he is. Hopefully he'll get another chance with another team.
Yeah, goes to show you how it can be all going well one day, and the next day you get waived. So that's life in the NFL and in the NBA as well. Speaking of our Cougars in the NFL, we have gotten some pictures of the Packers who reported to training camp. So here is Taysom. He looks good in the green and gold.
He really does.
Also looking good in the green and gold.
Jamal.
Look at that.
Right in front of the head coach, always a good place to be.
Yes.
Stepping up and making plays.
Yep, so he looks, both of them just look like they're fitting in super well. And our third BYU Packer, who we cannot fail to mention,
is Colby Pearson, who we're also hearing is doing a good job for himself there. Practicing returning some kicks.
Yep, and hey, to still be on an active roster at this point is no small feat.
Is an achievement.
In the same vein as the Cougars reporting to training camp, the Packers have this amazing tradition where they ride a local child's bike to training camp, right? And the child walks along with them.
Yeah, I guess it's about 300 yards from their building to the field, and so it gives them the opportunity to do this. It's the cutest thing.
It's adorable. So we love seeing Taysom do it. This picture of Jamal is just priceless. You've got his 1,000,000-watt smile and the
on
bike
this tiny little pink bike with the training wheels.
Yeah.
If you see the full view of that picture, the little girl whose bike it is has the biggest grin on her face.
Oh my goodness.
Is amazing.
Yeah, and we had to share this from Jen LC23. Anyone else think of this when they saw the picture of Jamal and it's the big brother in Goonies? So I didn't think of it, but when I saw it, it was hilarious. So good luck to all our BYU Packers.
Okay, next up is Kai Nakua. Apparently, one of the other safeties, Ed Reynolds with the Browns, injured his knee, which we hate to see anyone get injured, but this opens up a great opportunity for Kai to make some plays, to get some attention. A lot of people are predicting him to not only make the roster, but have a chance to really make an impact with the Browns. We've heard about him making at least one pick in practice already.
Yeah,
what he does.
I think that as we predicted, this is a good fit for him, and it really will be a chance for him to shine. Whereas if he would have ended up on some other rosters, you would have had to dig a lot deeper to get him to shine.
Yeah, so, the Browns had a need at that position, and now they have a bigger need.
Yeah, so you know what? The Browns are not the best team in the NFL, but you gotta, playing time is a priority to a lot of these guys. Also with the Browns, Jordan Leslie. So, I don't know if I, knew this and forgot or if it's new, but he is on the Browns' active roster as a wide receiver, and we saw a video of him yesterday pulling in a one-handed grab.
Fantastic catch. Hopefully that's helping him get some attention in camp. He's bounced around a little. And love to see him stick somewhere.
He's a freak athlete, and he can make those one-handed grabs, so the Browns might be the right place for him, too. But we love to see our former Cougars sticking together. We don't really have a place. Well, Kyle Van Noy's alone on the Patriots, but a lot of them are in pairs.
Harvey Longy now, too.
Oh, never mind. He's not. Yeah. So it's like Noah's Ark up in here. Okay, this is some exciting news. I'll let Randi share this one.
Yeah, Dallas Reynolds, former offensive lineman, is a 7-year NFL veteran, is one of our new offensive grad assistants. Great player who's done some really good lines for BYU.
Yeah, we couldn't determine if this was new news or old news that maybe just got confirmed. The newness about it is that Ben Kirtle and Jake Caressa confirmed the news Monday. So now we know for sure that Dallas Reynolds, who was one of BYU's historically best linemen, I would say.
He was a fantastic player.
So it will be great to have him on. The other 3 grad assistants, for your information, are Harvey Unga, again, Jan Jorgensen, and Vince Feula. So not a bad regiment there.
Yeah, it's a great group of guys.
Jimmer watch.
Jimmer signed a new contract, as you might have heard, back with the Shanghai Sharks.
Yeah.
$3.6 million for 2 years.
Yeah, not a bad deal.
Not bad at all, but an interesting clause in there.
Yeah, this was really interesting. We did talk about this last week, and I shared that I was kind of bummed because I never want to give up my Jimmer in the NBA dreams. But the account at the Jimmer Watch said that Jimmer's contract includes an NBA opt-out, which means that if he gets an NBA offer after this season, he can opt out. Of course, we wish him the best of luck in China. He's been all over his Instagram sharing videos about all this new gear that he's getting with his 361 company, and he's in a good place. So
exactly.
Okay, and then lastly, back to football real quick. We saw this tweet from at BYU Statsman, who does a really good job of tracking our players in the NFL. So at this point in the preseason, we have got 16 former BYU players on NFL rosters. A lot of these names will sound familiar to you. We've talked about a lot of them. I don't think there's anyone on here that you wouldn't recognize. We'll put this up for you. The one that Randy and I were laughing about is the long snapper for the Dolphins, John Denny. I didn't know who he was. I'm not going to lie. But now I do.
He's been away from BYU for a while, but a long snapper is a spot. There's not a lot of opportunities, but if you can make it, you can stick around for a long time.
Yep, so 16, not something to sneer at. That's a nice representation in the NFL. We hope that it continues to grow. Hope Alani gets back in there, maybe Algie, and we'll see what happens. For our last segment, we bring you Talk of the Town, and we begin with a pun. We are suckers for good puns always on Cougs on Cougs.
And this one is a good one.
Yes, it's from @YellowPleated on Twitter, and it's got this photoshopped banner on the Tanner building, and it says Tanner means business. The Tanner building is the business building. It's not funny if you have to explain it, but
just for those who aren't aware. Speaking of meaning business, as disappointed as we are to say this, Tanner has decided to stay off social media, Twitter, and Instagram for the season. Well, Wise, we're going to miss him.
I know. I thought it was funny because he tweeted this on July 26th, earlier last week, saying that he was signing off Twitter, and I saw it. I was really sad. I could say that he's pulling a LeBron James because LeBron James always stays off social media. But I kept a glimmer of hope. I was like, oh, he's off Twitter. Maybe he's going to stay on Instagram because he's a staple of talk of the town. Tanner totally is.
And then a day or two later, he's confirmed that he's off Instagram too.
So I think everyone can agree it's for the best. I know that someone tweeted back to Cougs on Cougs and said, I wonder how many followers he's lost, and that's not a smart move, but I would hope that that's the minority speaking.
Yeah, unfortunately, we've all seen there's a lot of idiots on social media, and avoiding those idiots is probably a very good thing.
Yeah, because with any positive news comes how much negative news, and we don't want him to be thinking about that during the season. We want him to be thinking about winning, and I think it'll be good for his mental health as well, which has been in the news a lot lately. And if this is what he needs to do, then we need to respect that. And we can't wait for him to be back on social media.
We'll quote Mary here on this one. We love you, Corbin, but this look can only be called vote for Pedro.
Am I wrong?
No, you are not, unfortunately.
I did a double take on that picture, and I thought it was the actor for a minute. I was like, wait, who is that? It's Corbin. Randy and I both agree that Corbin is an attractive dude, but this look with the kind of pseudo-fro and the pseudo-stash,
it needs to go.
We've seen better. This is our last thing in Talk of the Town, and Randy, I'll let you take this one.
Yeah, BYU and Virginia Tech announced a 2-game series.
In when?
2026 and 2030. For me, that was put in perspective by realizing in 2030, my current 4-year-old could be a freshman at BYU.
He's 4. Randi had a really funny tweet that was saying that her son, Tanner, can't write his name yet, but he could be a participant or a student at this game.
It's a long ways away, but it is a great series, and that's how college football scheduling is.
Yep. So hopefully the ACC will still be reputable in 2030. Who's to say?
But a lot of things could change, but hopefully those games will happen.
That is all we have for Talk of the Town, and that's it for the show tonight. So as for what's next, very exciting. After Further Review returns tonight. That is at 5 p.m. Mountain Time.
If you aren't watching After Further Review, make it a part of your life.
Yeah, what do you think? Are they just going to review fall camp tape?
I wouldn't be surprised if they talk about games from last year. Last year during fall camp, they did some classic games.
Oh, yeah.
They broke down, the 84 bowl game. They broke down the Miracle Bowl. They broke down the Texas games.
It's a great way to get your football fix.
It is so fun. You learn a lot. Make it a part of your life.
Yes, so tune into that. That is tonight. Also this week.
Movie night at the stadium Friday. They're showing Moana. You can lay down on the field at LaVell Edwards Stadium and watch it. Doors open at 8. The movie starts at 9.
It's free. Mormon's favorite F word. They will be selling concessions. Grab yourself a cougar tail. We're going to be there.
Exactly. Come say hi to us.
Come say hi. Definitely let us know if you will be there. BYU 50 continues this week. We are into week 5. Getting to the lower half here.
Yeah, Nebraska, Nevada, New Hampshire, and then on Saturday is Utah.
Oh, man. Have you ever tried to compete for one of those?
Almost, but never quite. For the Utah ones, if you weren't aware, most of them are done competition style. So you don't have to be the first person there. You have to be one of the first few and then win it.
They make you do some kind of crazy stuff, so bring your kids and make them do it, maybe?
Come prepared for a lot of different things, but pay attention. They'll usually give you the heads up of what cities they're coming to, so you can pay attention.
Yes, and follow their Twitter, follow them on Instagram. They've been updating it on their Instagram story as well as their Twitter, and we'll have some reports on that next week. So this is a little ways away, but we did want to make everyone aware, give them plenty of time, that the Cougars will have a football scrimmage on August 17th, which will be open to the public. The gates open at 3:30 p.m. and the scrimmage begins at 4:30 p.m. It's kind of like onto the spring game, except more real, because your game is 9 days
before a real game that counts.
Yeah. So this is when it really starts to get real. So we'll obviously keep reminding you of that one. As for our sponsors this week, Randi?
Our first sponsor is Fred Warner's Hair, still the best on the team, looking oh so good at the beginning of camp.
Right? And sponsor number 2 is... This is a stretch. Stay with me here. Senior wide receiver Grant Jones, who is number 37. Why number 37, you ask? Because it is Harry Potter and J.K. Rowling's birthday. It was yesterday. We're still celebrating. That's why we have up this sign. That's why I'm wearing my Slytherin shirt. So Grant Jones, thanks for being our excuse to wish Harry Potter and J.K. Rowling
a very happy birthday.
A very happy birthday. May you always stay loyal to the white and blue. For Randi, I'm Mary. We'll see you next week.